Charlie Munger once said, the first $100,000 is a bitch.
And he was right. But most people think it's because of their low income. The real reason? It's the math of compound interest that's working against you. Here's what nobody tells you. Your second 100,000 will take you 6 years. Your first? 15. Same discipline, same effort. But somehow the timeline cuts in half? That's not a coincidence. That's physics. Hi guys, my name is Tom, and over the last decade I've studied how some people build wealth. And what I found is going to make you rethink every financial decision you've ever made. If you're tired of working hard and want to get rich, hit that subscribe button right now.
In the next 13 minutes, I'm going to show you the 5 traps keeping you below $100,000.
And why crossing that line changes everything. Let's go. Most people think compound interest is their best friend. Seriously, it's not. Not at first. For the first decade of saving, compound interest is basically useless. When you've saved $1,000 and it grows 10% in a year, $100, maybe 3 if you're lucky. But when you have $1,000 and it grows 10%, that's $10,000. You just made more money sleeping than someone working full-time at $12 an hour makes all year. So compound interest is amazing if you already have money. But when you're starting from zero, it's like trying to light a fire with wet matches. Let me show you the actual math. You save $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. With 7% annual returns, it takes about 12 years to hit $100,000. 144 months. That's longer than most people stay at one job, longer than most cars last, longer than some marriages. But here's the twist, from $100,000 to $2,000. 6? Wait, what changed? Same $500 a month, same 7% return. But suddenly you're moving twice as fast? Because now your money is finally big enough to matter. In year 1, you contribute $6,000 and earn maybe $200 in investment returns. But in year 12, when you're sitting at $95,000, your investment returns that year are about $7,000. You earned more from your investments than you put in. That's the moment. That's when compound interest finally wakes up. But most people quit at year 5, year 7, year 9, right before the magic starts. And here's what makes it even worse. While you're in that compound interest desert, the system is actively punishing you for being broke. The next trap is the poverty premium. If you do not have money, is it means you cost less? Seriously? No. Being poor means paying extra for everything. Economists call it the poverty premium. I call it the broke tax. And it's draining your account every single day. For example, if you do not have $1,500 in your checking account, that's a $12 monthly maintenance fee, because apparently banks need to charge you for the privilege of having no money. Overdraft your account by $5 buying coffee. That'll be $35, please. You just paid $40 for a $5 latte. Can't pay your credit card in full? Welcome to 22% interest. But rich people with $10,000 sitting in their account? Free checking. 0 fees. Sometimes they even get paid interest. Seriously, because the system rewards you for not needing help. A Princeton study found something insane. Low-income Americans pay approximately $4,000 more per year for the exact same goods and services as wealthy Americans. $4,000 every year, just for being broke. If you could not afford car insurance up front, you need pay monthly at a 30% markup. If you couldn't put down a big apartment deposit, you have higher rent because you're high risk. If you need new tires but can't afford all 4 at once, you need finance them at 25% APR. Everything costs more when you're poor. But here's the truly twisted part. Seriously, while poor people are paying compound penalties, rich people are earning compound interest. It's not a fair fight. It's a rigged game. You're trying to save your first $100,000 while paying an extra $4,000 a year, just for not already having $100,000. It's like running a marathon with a 50-pound backpack that magically disappears the second you finish. But let's say you somehow avoid all the fees. You're disciplined. You're focused. there's still a trap you probably don't even know exists.
The third trap is your brain's thermostat. Quick question. What's the biggest number you've ever seen in your bank account? For most people, that number becomes a ceiling they can't break through. Not because they're not trying, because their brain won't let them. Behavioral economists call this financial identity anchoring. I call it broke brain. Here's how it works. If the most you've ever saved is $8,000, your brain thinks $8,000 is a lot of money. So when you hit $8,500, your subconscious panics. And suddenly, you need new furniture, or a vacation, or to treat yourself back to $5,000 or less. This isn't lack of discipline. This is your brain's internal thermostat. Just like a thermostat keeps your house at 72 degrees, your financial thermostat keeps you at whatever level feels normal. I watched a friend do this 7 times over 5 years. Every time he crossed $6,000, he'd find a reason to spend it back down. New TV, weekend trip. I deserve this. And he did deserve it. But his brain was sabotaging his future to protect his identity. Because deep down, he didn't see himself as someone who has $10,000. He saw himself as someone who survives paycheck to paycheck. And your brain will do anything to prove your identity right, even if it means keeping you broke. Now here's the cruel twist. The people who most need to save $100,000 have the hardest time even imagining what $100,000 looks like because they've never seen it. Not in their account, not in their parents' account. Rich kids don't have this problem. They grew up seeing 6 figures in the family account. To them, $100,000 isn't rich, it's Tuesday. Their thermostat is already set high. But if you grew up broke, you have to manually rewire your brain to believe that you're the type of person who can have $100,000. And that psychological battle? That's harder than the math. But even if you rewire your brain, break through the poor tax, and survive the compound interest desert, there's still one more trap waiting for you. The fourth trap is the reset button. This one doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like life. It's called opportunity cost, and it's the silent killer of wealth building. Picture this. You're 25. You finally get serious about saving. You hit $5,000. You're crushing it. Then your car breaks down. $1,200 to fix. Back to $3,800. Okay, no problem. You rebuild. 6 months later, you're at $6,000 again. Then your best friend gets married. Destination wedding. Flights, hotel, gift, $2,000. Back to $4,000. A year passes. You grind your way to $9,000. Then you decide to invest in yourself. Education is the best investment, right? $5,000 in tuition. Back to $4,000. Again. These aren't bad decisions. They're life. But here's what nobody tells you. Every time you hit reset, you're not just losing money, you're losing time. That $5,000 you pulled out for tuition at age 27, if you'd left it invested until 65, at 7% returns, that would have been worth $76,000. You didn't spend $5,000, you spent $76,000. This is why the first $100,000 takes forever. Not because you're not saving, because life keeps hitting the reset button on your compound interest. And you know who doesn't have this problem? People who already have money. When you've got $500,000 invested and your car breaks down, you pay for it out of cash flow. The investments never get touched. Destination wedding? Cash flow. Emergency medical bill? Cash flow. The investments just sit there, compounding, uninterrupted, for decades. But when you're building your first $100,000, every emergency comes straight out of your seed capital. There's this concept in investing called time in market beats timing the market. But there's an even more important concept, uninterrupted time in market. Someone who invests $10,000 and never touches it for 30 years, they'll crush someone who invests $15,000 total but keeps pulling it out and putting it back. It's not about the amount, it's about continuity. And when you're building your first $100,000, your continuity keeps getting shattered. But here's where the story changes. And this is the part that makes all the suffering worth it. The fifth trap is about escape velocity. Once you hit $100,000, everything I just described reverses. Compound interest finally starts pulling its weight. The poor tax basically disappears because you can afford to pay cash. Your brain's thermostat resets because you've proven you can do it. And the reset button stops working against you. Because now, when an emergency hits, you can pull from cash reserves instead of rating your investments. Your compound interest keeps compounding, uninterrupted. Let me show you the math from the other side. $100,000 to $200,000 with the same $500 monthly contributions? 6 years. But it gets better. $200,000 to $300,000? About 4.5 years. $300,000 to $400,000? Less than 4. Same effort, same monthly savings, but the timeline keeps shrinking. Because now, your money is making real money. There's this concept in physics called escape velocity. It's the minimum speed you need to escape a planet's gravitational pull. Above escape velocity, you're in orbit. Gravity can't touch you anymore. You're flying. $100,000 is your financial escape velocity. Below it, you're fighting gravity every day. The poor tax pulls you down. The psychological ceiling pulls you down. Life emergencies pull you down. Above it, those same forces work for you. Your money compounds faster. Your opportunities expand. Your psychology shifts. The game doesn't get easier. The player gets stronger. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. Getting to $100,000 is brutal. It's designed to be brutal. That's why 90% of people never get there. Not because they're lazy, not because they're stupid, because the system is mathematically, psychologically, and economically designed to keep you below that line. But here's what I need you to understand. That first $100,000, that's not the finish line. That's the starting line. The second $100,000 comes in half the time. The third comes even faster. But you gotta reach escape velocity first. And here's the truth most financial gurus won't tell you. You don't need to be smarter. You don't need to work harder. You need to understand the game you're playing. So here's what I want you to do. Hit that subscribe button right now. Because I'm making videos every week breaking down exactly how to beat every trap I just talked about. How to minimize the poor tax. How to rewire your financial thermostat. How to protect your compound interest from getting reset. And drop a comment telling me where you're at in the journey. Are you at $0, $5,000, $50,000, $99,000? Because I want to know who I'm talking to. The game is rigged, but now you know the rules. Let's reach escape velocity together. I'm Tom. I'll see you in the next one.